Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I am going to be ranking all the Call of Duty Zombies bosses from worst to best. Now, I also want to mention here really quickly that I'm only going to be talking about the bosses that you will find when you're not doing an Easter egg, so I'm not going to count the final bosses. Those will be reserved for another video at a different date. Just want to let you know. And also as well, this list is 100% my opinion, so if you guys have your own opinions, please feel free to put them in the comment section down below and share your opinions with me, but please do not criticize mine. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, please drop a like and leave a comment down below. But anyways guys, let's begin with ranking all the COD Zombies bosses from worst to best. Denisons from Black Ops 2. These are by far, without hyperbole, the worst boss in Call of Duty Zombies history. This boss was only ever created to make it where the player could not see the glaring flaws with the map transit. It was meant to keep you distracted so that way you didn't notice how the map was incomplete, and it was to prevent you from going into the fog and only taking the bus. This boss is unforgivingly annoying. They spawn infinitely, they are relentless, they are really tedious to kill. You have to either shoot them preemptively or just stab them repeatedly every single time that they jump on your head. And they give you nothing for killing them. They don't give you max ammo, they don't even give you points. They are literally just there as a nuisance. I hate the Denisons, they should not exist, and if they ever come back, I think I'm going to stroke out. The Jolting Jacks from Alpha Omega. So on Alpha Omega, the Jumping Jacks from Die Rise come back, and they basically end up functioning very similar to the Nova Crawlers from Keener der Toten. That sounds pretty straightforward, right? Now imagine this. You were playing in Alpha Omega, you see this enemy, and you're like, okay, I've seen this before, I should know what to do. And then all of a sudden a little fart cloud comes out, and you're like, okay. And then all of a sudden the zombies that are surrounding this one particular enemy now have double the health and can run at you at supersonic speeds, and they basically one-shot down you because of all the spam of all the flinging arms coming your way. That is what the Jolting Jacks do in Alpha Omega. They give these zombies nearby buffs, so that way they can kill you easier, quicker, and more unfairly. And now you will understand, based off the description of that, one of the many reasons why I do not like Alpha Omega in Black Ops 4. The Space Monkeys from Ascension. Now, I am going to be ranking the Shangri-La monkeys separately on this list because of how different they function in comparison to the Ascension Space Monkeys, but let's talk about these ones for now. So, why do I not like the Space Monkeys? Well, the reason why I don't like the Space Monkeys is because these guys on Ascension will steal your perks. If you do not pay attention to where they are going, they can go to one of any of the 4 perks that you have in your inventory and take it from you by damaging the machines. If they damage it successfully enough, that perk that they attacked is now gone, and you have to repurchase it again. And these monkeys are annoying because they are impossible to shoot sometimes. They can actually fight back if you try to stop them. And as well, there are sometimes so many of them that you can literally never stop them from taking at least one of your 4 perks every single time they spawn. They do at least have a redeeming quality that they drop a max ammo, unlike the Denisons, which give you nothing. The Space Monkeys are not nearly as bad in the Black Ops 3 remake of Ascension, but it's specifically the Black Ops 1 version of this map. They are annoying as hell because there's really nothing stopping them other than Claymores if you buy those. But if you don't even have Claymores, you just have to run around in circles and just hope for the best. So if that's the case, good luck. But yeah, I can't stand the Space Monkeys. I don't think that they're fun. And despite the fact that they do give you some benefits like max ammo, and they're not the most annoying in comparison to the Denisons, I personally just do not like them. The Pentagon Thief from Black Ops 1. Now, the Pentagon Thief, I understand, does give you some really cool rewards if you kill him, much better than the other previous 2. If you kill the Pentagon Thief, he can drop you a max ammo, and he can also end up giving you a bonfire sale, which allows you to pack a punch for only 1,000 points. Very useful stuff. But that's the thing, is that that's a rarity when it comes to the Pentagon Thief, because more times than not, he will get the upper hand. Why is that? Well, his mechanics are kind of just bullshit, let's just be honest. So, for those of you guys that don't know how the Pentagon Thief works, in the map 5 on Black Ops 1, on a random round, the Pentagon Thief will spawn in. And it's this random guy in a lab coat. He does have some storyline elements, but I'm just going to brush over that right now because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys don't care. You just want to know how he functions. So let's talk about how he functions. Specifically, the Pentagon Thief works in a way as such where he doesn't necessarily kill you, but he steals whatever primary weapon you hold while he ends up grabbing you. So if I, for example, was to get grabbed while holding the Winter's Hell, he would take it and he would teleport me into the basement and I would have to chase him around and kill him before he escapes to get my gun back. If I kill him, I get a max ammo and my gun back. If I don't kill him, I only get a max ammo and I lose my gun. If I kill him before he can even take my gun, then that's when you get the bonfire sale and stuff like that. The problem is that more times than not, most players are not set up enough to be able to kill him because he takes a crap ton of damage and he is able to absorb pretty much any bullets that you shoot at his way. And so that's why the Pentagon Thief is annoying, because he's just a bullet sponge. Not only that, but this is the kicker, he is invisible to every other player other than the one he is attacking. So if you are in the lobby and he sees you and you can see him, he's coming for you. If he ends up going for you, you literally have to tell your teammates to shoot at an invisible target for them to be able to save you. Otherwise, you're screwed and you will lose your gun. It's very annoying. It's basically unfair, let's just be honest. And that's a main reason why I don't like the Pentagon Thief. Sure, he gives you good rewards, but it's like playing at a casino. You're more likely to lose than you are to win. And that's the case so many times more than not with the Pentagon Thief. The vampires on Dead of the Night. Now, on Dead of the Night, the vampires function similarly to the Denisons, but not completely. You can at least fight back easier against these guys than you can the Denisons, because the vampires spawn in less quantity than the Denisons. The vampires are also not infinite. They end up spreading themselves out throughout the game, and also, lastly, they don't always jump on your face. They do jump on your face, and they can end up apprehending you, but it's not nearly as strong as the Denisons. They're just kind of one of those bosses where I put up with it because I kind of have no choice, but I would still prefer that they just didn't exist. The Tigers from the map 9. Now, the Tigers in 9 function like how Hellhounds do. They spawn in every couple of rounds just so that way they can give the player a max ammo. The problem that I have with the Tigers, though, and thank God they nerfed this eventually, but these things are just way too strong. Out of all the Hellhound-like creatures, this one is the most annoying and frustrating because they are super fast. Back when Black Ops 4 launched, by the way, these things could sometimes one-shot you. I'm not even kidding. They literally could just one-shot you, and they're quick as hell. So if you were not careful, every like 5 rounds or so, you were in this sudden death mode where it's like, okay, I wonder if a tiger's gonna jump scare me, I wonder if I'm just gonna get one shot. Any video game death that results in a one-shot death is never going to be satisfying to a player. A player will never live contently being like, oh yeah, I deserve to die right there. They're gonna think it's BS. It's like when a final boss heals in a video game. It's something that they should be hypothetically able to do because it's fair game, but it doesn't make it any less annoying. I don't want my boss to one-shot me, because if it does, I'm going to feel like I got cheated. Thrashers from Zetsubo no Shima. Now, I feel like there is going to be some of you that were like me, where when you would watch ranking videos about bosses, you would be like, the Thrasher? I don't remember the Thrasher being that bad. Well, I can tell you that I thought the same thing for the longest time, and then I finally went back and I played Zetsubo recently, and I'm like, it's not necessarily that the Thrashers are annoying because of the way that they are, it's more rather the quantity of them. The Thrasher spawning in one at a time every couple of rounds would have been fine, but they don't. They sometimes spawn in where there's like what feels like 10 of them all chasing you at a given time. They spawn in due to the spores on the map, those orange spores that allow you to be able to get your breath back. If you leave those in the map and a zombie walks into it, there's a chance it could become a Thrasher. So if they're everywhere in the map and you're training zombies throughout the entire map, that's when you get like 3+ Thrashers. And even though they can die quickly, they are fast. They're sometimes hard to hit in a swarm because you have to hit specifically the spores on their body to kill them. You can't just shoot them anywhere. And just the sheer body mass of when there's like 3 or 4 or 5 of them running at you, it's just overwhelming at times. That's what gets people upset when they end up thinking of the Thrasher, is just how unfair it is to the player that you feel like you basically have to check if every single part of the map is clear of spores, because if you don't, you can spawn the boss back in. The Avogadro from Black Ops 2. Now, the Avogadro spawns in once you turn on the power in transit, and he doesn't spawn in until it's a thunderstorm outside, and then he will come and get you. This boss can only die if you melee him. You have to either stab him with a combat knife or the Galva Knuckles. Now, the Galva Knuckles specifically are much better at killing him because this can kill him in, I believe, either 2 or 4 shots. I can't quite remember because it's been such a long time. But the Galva Knuckles are the way to go. It's just that transit's transit. Getting the Galva Knuckles is a pain in the ass. Running into the Avogadro before you're prepared is also a pain in the ass. The Avogadro never spawns when it's convenient for the player. He will either spawn in the middle of a round or when you're out in the fog and you're also dealing with Denisons. And the thing is, he also teleports too, so when you think you're just about to close the gap and stab him, he'll teleport away, and then you have to go find him again, which means that you have to run through lava and zombies to be able to just get the guy off of you, because if you don't fight him and you just try to ignore him, then he will just shoot at you forever and then he'll kill you. That's why the Avogadro is annoying. The Blightfather from Black Ops 4. Now, this guy is a intimidating boss, but he's annoying as well. So I like the actual fight with him. It's really fun. And you don't necessarily need a lot to take him out. All you have to do is pretty much just take out a specialist weapon and then spam him. Really, the only annoying things about the Blightfather is that he can sometimes spawn in what feels like too much. And he can also end up making it where the player that is in the lobby, whether it be solo or co-op, if they want to buy certain things off the wall, have to pay extra money because he can end up putting this slime effect on it that basically locks it down. It's kind of like the way that Brutus used to lock things down in Mob of the Dead, but with a Black Ops 4 theme on it. So the Blightfather, all in all, is still a really solid boss, though. I like fighting him, I just don't necessarily like how he fights me. The Napalm Zombie from Shangri-La. Now, the Napalm Zombie looks cool, he sounds cool, but he isn't. This zombie annoys me on Shangri-La, and it's one of the reasons why I don't come back. The zombie functions a lot like George Romero, where he will only attack you if you shoot him, and if you do, he will now follow you, but unlike George, you can't get him to stop. If you have him come after you, he will come after you until you've successfully killed him. And so in order to kill him, you have to lay a lot of bullets into him, and he will leave behind a fire trail in these tight-ass corridors. So if you end up being in a situation where you get trapped, and you have to walk through the fire of his body, you could probably burn and just die, which means that you're going to have your game end on you at the blink of an eye. I just personally prefer the Screecher zombie on Shangri-La in comparison, in my opinion. The Valkyrie drones from Garad Krovi. Over the years, looking back on it, these guys have been more annoying the more I think about it. They are a Hellhound equivalent boss enemy again, where they're just only in the map to drop you a max ammo. But these guys fly, and they also have armor. And they don't necessarily kill you, they just zap you with this weak stun laser. Which you might be thinking to yourself, being like, that doesn't sound really bad, that just sounds more rather annoying. Which, that's exactly my point. This boss can't really kill you, it's just annoying. They are not necessarily bad, but I just don't like fighting them. They fly around in areas that I'm not particularly comfortable being in. They take me away from my training spots. I gotta feel like I gotta look around for them and shoot them out of the sky. And it's basically a game of tag you're in, where it's like they zap you, now you gotta find them and take them out. Then they zap you again, now you gotta find them and take them out, and it just keeps looping back and over and over and over again. It's like playing tag with the equivalent of like an annoying cousin. You don't necessarily want to, but you kind of have to. And so you just go with it and hope that it just ends quicker than it began. The Parasites from both Shadows of Evil and Revelations. Now, this is, once again, another flying Hellhound equivalent boss, but unlike the Valkyrie drones, these guys are much more enjoyable, because these ones are more proactive. They end up, I feel like, attacking you more, and you can also one-shot them, basically, because they're so weak. They don't have armor like the Valkyrie drones, so you can kill the Parasites much quicker, and that's why the flying enemies should have just ended with the Parasites. So I'm glad that they reused them again, instead of the Valkyrie drones in Revelations, because this is a much better flying boss. Keepers, from basically the entirety of Black Ops 3. This boss is something that will only spawn in, basically, if it involves upgrading something or the Easter eggs for the map. So the Keepers spawn in on things such as the rituals on Shadows of Evil, getting the skull of Non-Sopway on Zetsubo, doing the Easter egg on Derisendrak, the Keeper Protector on Revelations. That's pretty much where the Keeper's extent is basically for helping out the player in very niche situations, but they also can be an enemy and attack you. These guys are not annoying, but I felt like someone would say something if I didn't put them on the list, so I'm just going to put them here as basically a neutral boss, where they're not necessarily annoying, but they don't give you anything that makes them worth your time. The Screecher Zombie from Shangri-La. This is the other boss zombie on Shang, and I prefer this one honestly because all he really does is blind the player briefly by screaming so loud. He can't really damage you. He's just quick and annoying, but his little outburst where he screeches at you can easily be silenced if you have the shrink rate, because all you gotta do is just shrink him and run him over like any normal zombie, because unlike the napalm, he won't just grow back to normal size again within like 5 seconds or less. So the Screecher Zombie isn't necessarily that bad. He's just one of the other bosses, and I'm just going to put him pretty much in a neutral slot. The Jumping Jacks from Dire Eyes. Now, this is going to be not necessarily as annoying as the Jolting Jacks, but they do end up functioning in somewhat of an annoying way. These are basically Nova Crawlers that are on crystal meth, and they will jump around all over the place and attack you. Now, if you want to, you can end up getting a free perk off of these guys by getting 100% accuracy, but the way that most people do that is just by cheesing it with a Trample Steam, because that technically counts. Now, I would say that if you're going to fight these guys normally and just shoot them with your gun, you're probably not going to get the free perk most of the time. So these guys are pretty much only really good for a max ammo, and that's basically it. They are the dog equivalent of Dire Eyes. I wish we just got normal dogs or something like that instead, but we got these guys. You just gotta live and let learn, I guess. Skeletons from Ancient Evil. Now, skeletons work in a way where if you don't shoot them in the head, they will just keep respawning infinitely. They also end up having swords and shields, which makes them even stronger than the average zombie, because they can technically block bullets. So these guys are going to get annoying after a while in the high rounds, because when they start to mix in with random hordes, which is something they can do, you will have it where that one random outlier will end up probably getting you killed, because you think you're just going to plow through a horde of zombies, and then you might lose focus, and then boom, skeleton ends up coming around and stabs you in the back. So that's why the Ancient Evil skeletons are a little bit annoying as well. These are the boss zombies that were really not meant to be in the map, but to make it fancy, they just decided to add it in, and just made the map feel overkill. The Genus from Ancient Evil, the Genus? I think that's how you pronounce it?
Genus.
Yeah, that. Yeah, essentially I'm talking about this guy, this 6-armed Cyclops dude. Now this guy is beefy as hell. He has a sword, a shield, and a spear, and he does not take any prisoners. This guy will kick your ass if you are ill-prepared. The best thing to do is to fight him on his own terms, which is going to end up being with, like, melee weapons. So I would say get, like, your specialist ability ready and kill him that way, because that's the most efficient, I've realized. And if you kill him successfully, he will give you a shield part. Pretty solid boss, and fair enough if you know what you're doing. The Gladiators on 9. So why am I putting these guys here? Well, I like fighting these ones a little bit more than the Ancient Evil guy, because, first of all, these guys on Ancient Evil, if I'm going to put up with them anyways, might as well make the boss fight fun. These guys are more aggressive and more engaging. I enjoy fighting them more. It's more of a interactive fight rather than just a game of poking and prying, where the Ancient Evil fight, I feel like, is a lot of that, where I'm basically having to just poke him, run away, poke again. I have to pry through a horde of zombies. I basically have to keep leaving the fight and recharging my health and then coming back in later, whereas with the 9 fight, I feel like I can continuously stay and be able to fight from beginning to end. It overall keeps me engaged. It's just more entertaining of a fight for a boss, in my opinion. One that I feel like I can fight continuously instead of having to leave and go back and leave and go back. The Astronaut on Moon. Now, the Astronaut on Moon, he's not really necessarily going to do any damage to you unless you end up getting too close to him. He will, if you end up getting too close to him, put you at a red screen and take a perk, but only if you approach him. Otherwise, he walks at the speed of molasses, and he also has very little to no health. You can pretty much annihilate him instantly if you shoot him with even a semi-decent gun, or if you want to, you can even just throw grenades. But when it comes to the Astronaut, the biggest problem with him is the fact that he takes your perks. That's just so annoying. In fact, I noticed that a lot of the Black Ops 1 enemies either will take your perks or your guns, which is quite flat out ridiculous how many of them do it. But I've just learned to live with the Astronaut just because he's so weak. I just basically shoot him on sight. The Mimic from Firebase Z. Now do me a favor, Tell me when you think that I'm going to run into a Mimic in Firebase Z. I'm literally going to run into him in this stairway. He jump scares me because he looked like a crossbow drop, and then I had to run to the teleporter to be able to end up getting away. The Mimic literally doesn't spawn in fairly, he just flat out uses cheap tactics to get you killed, and one of them is doing a jump scare like that. This boss spawns in at the worst possible time. He ends up spawning in way too frequently, just like the Thrashers, and he gets on my nerves the more and more I play this map. Not really a good boss. The Abomination from Forsaken. I for some reason felt like that Treyarch got inspired from the Margwa from Shadows of Evil and tried to replicate it again via the Abomination because they look kind of similar. You would think that because it looks similar, it would function similar, or maybe they would even bring back the Margwa again. But no, what this boss does is he charges up a lightning bolt and he will just spray in a continuous loop and shoot you until either you take cover or kill him. So he can mess you up if you are not careful, but most of the time most players end up just getting out of the way and then therefore his attack is useless. This boss feels very situational, where if you're not paying attention he can kill you, but unless you're completely not paying attention, this boss is easily able to end up being killed, and it's a decent 1v1. The Werewolf from Dead of the Night. Now this is my preferred boss on Dead of the Night. The Werewolf is a lot more fun to interact with. The Werewolf is a big, mean, bad boss. He will kill you if you're not careful, but if you have a decent gun, you also are able to fight back. Pretty much once you get silver bullets, the Werewolf is able to be killed in like a magazine or two. The Werewolf feels like a win-win because it feels like an intimidating boss if you end up making yourself more stronger with silver bullets, so that way you can be able to kill future werewolves also easier. You in turn get rewarded with a piece that you need to get the final Pack-a-Punch upgrade of the Wonder Weapon in this map, which is pretty cool. So back to back, because they're so similar, this is the Disciple Zombie and then the Tormentor Zombie. Now I'm just going to show footage of the Tormentor Zombie because I for some reason don't have footage of the other one. One flies around while the other one runs around and explodes. Specifically, the Tormentor is my preferred ones because they give you max ammos, whereas the other one does not. Let me know what you think about both of these guys in the comment section down below. Next is the Furies from Revelations. Now this is a fair boss. You get these guys spawning in pretty much only when you activate a corruption engine. They don't necessarily do a lot of damage, but they do spawn in hordes, and they also do have smoke technically covering them, so they can sneak up on you. So they mostly are working in strength and numbers. So they're not necessarily also piss easy, but they're also not so annoying that you're going to be gritting your teeth. They are a boss that is simple, straightforward, and plays out at the right time. They basically are a gameplay loop more than anything, where it's a mandatory boss fight you have to go through to progress to be able to unlock all your stuff. This is when Treyarch ended up doing a really good job with bosses, was around this time, and this boss reflects that. The spiders on Zetsubo no Shima. And I will say this, is that I love the giant spider fight when you end up getting the KT-4 and going into his cave. That's a lot of fun. But for now, let's talk about the mini spiders that give you max ammos. These guys just drop max ammos like dogs, but these guys also have an additional feature, where if they want to, they can web up and block off certain areas and things. But it doesn't require you to purchase it to clear it, like how Brutus does on Mob of the Dead. All you just need to do is cut the spider webs away with your combat knife by just using your interact key. Now the spiders can end up doing this to pathways, they can do this to the gobblegum machine, they can do this to perks, but it basically takes like 2 seconds of your time to get rid of a web. It's no big deal, honestly. All in all, I like this Hellhounds substitute. George Romero from Call of the Dead. Now, this boss, I feel like in the entire zombies community, this boss has grown on us for 2 reasons. Number 1, just the sad passing of the fact that the actual George Romero is no longer with us. And also 2, is in comparison to some of the other bosses we've got, this boss is not nearly as annoying. Pretty much you can avoid him throughout the entire game if you wanted to. The things that just suck is when you get caught. If you shoot him or he pins you, that's when you're in sticky situations, because George Romero has 250,000 health per player in the lobby. So even in solo, this guy is going to sponge every single bullet you shoot at him, and if you are lucky, you may be able to kill him over the span of a couple of minutes. There is a way to calm down George, however. If you want to, you could just jump in freezing water, and since he will follow you and go in there himself, you can get him to calm down that way, and then he'll leave you alone again. So basically, the way that you deal with George is that if you're going to go from the route of avoiding him, that's pretty straightforward. If you're going to go a route of killing him, you want to get like a Dragonov or like a Death Machine, and then just shoot him for a little bit, run him back into water. Shoot him for a little bit, run him back into water. And then you'll be able to kill him over the span of a few minutes. And when you do end up killing him, you get rewarded with a free perk and a Death Machine or a Wonder Waff, depending on if you did the Easter egg. I feel like you love or you hate George. I just kind of am in the middle and sort of tolerate him. The Megaton from D Machine. This is 3 bosses for the price of 1. You get the one big form of him, and then when you kill him, he splits into 2 other mini-zombies. Then, upon finally killing those guys, that's when you end up beating him. He doesn't really have any unfair abilities. You can pretty much kill him with whatever you want, given the fact that in Cold War you can buy ammo from ammo crates, so you don't have to worry about having a bullet sponge enemy, because if you pretty much have infinite ammo, who cares? And the map is plenty wide open. It has one of the best spawn rooms slash training rooms ever, so if you really want to end up playing it safe, you can end up just killing him in the spawn room, or hell, you can even get a kill streak and do it that way. You can do whatever you wish to your heart's content because Cold War is just an easy game, let's just be honest. The Megaton's a fun boss. I like him. I assume a lot of you like him. This was really good, the fact that this was the first boss for Cold War. It was nice and easy and straightforward. The monkeys from Shangri-La. I told you guys we'd get back around to the monkeys again, and they are so much more better on Shangri-La. Like, oh my god. The Shangri-La monkeys are so useful to the player. I'm so glad they changed them in this map. So, the Shangri-La monkeys are not round-based. They just exist in the map as pretty much a background AI. And when you end up playing throughout the map, if you get a drop, these monkeys will pick up the drop and bring it over to the Pack-a-Punch machine. They basically sacrifice your drop because they're like, oh, it looks cool. Now, as the monkey is holding the drop, it will rotate into other different drops. And so you can time it where if you kill the monkey, where the drop is whatever you want, and then you kill him, that exact drop will now be on the ground and you can pick it up. And you can do this for, I believe, max ammos, double points, nukes, pretty much anything. Hell, I think you can even do it sometimes to get free perks. This is how you rectify an annoying boss enemy and make him fun. Make the boss give drops and give rewards to the player for fighting them instead of taking things away for neglecting to fight them. Brutus from Mob of the Dead. This is one of the most aesthetically pleasing boss enemies ever to exist. I am so glad that Brutus is in Mob of the Dead. The Warden being a zombified mega boss and trying to go around and kill you while being able to like talk to the characters is such a cool concept. I love Brutus. It is annoying when he does lock down things, but I get that that's his theme. He's the Warden. He's trying to basically put you back under arrest and take control of the prison again. But I can look past that for how cool he is. Brutus being able to interacting in the map and having this dominant presence, this very scary ambiance about him is just so cool. I feel like if Mob of the Dead just had Hellhounds or some sort of generic max ammo boss, if there was no big bad boss like Brutus, it would have felt like the map was missing something. It makes sense that the Warden would be a zombie too alongside the other staff and the prisoners. That's what makes Mob of the Dead work, the prison aesthetic. That's why people love this map. The Manglers from Garad Krovi. Now, this boss has pretty much been in all the Call of Duty games lately because they reuse him all the time for their Outbreak modes. They have him in Modern Warfare 3 alongside the Mimic and the Abomination and everything, so this guy is not as novel anymore, but I still like his original map where he debuted, and that is Garad Krovi. The Mangler has a launcher on his wrist, so he can also shoot you from long range, so it's not just melee attacks. And this is nice because it keeps the fights from being done in like 5 seconds and being boring. I like it when I have a genuinely good fight. I still want to win the fight, of course, but I want to be a good fight where I have at least the illusion that I'm going to lose occasionally. The Panzer Sovat from Origins, Der Eisendrache, and Mauer der Toten. This is one of the scariest bosses I've ever experienced in my entire life. Not necessarily for how he looks, but just for how strong he is. Do you guys remember playing Origins for the first time and hearing the Panzer's music for when he was coming into the map? Round 8 on Origins was scary as hell back in the day as a kid. And then they brought him back in Drak, and you would think that with your zombie knowledge that you're like, okay, I've seen him before, I've gotten better, I can kick his ass. And then they buff him, and they make it so that way now he ends up throwing shock charges at you, and he runs quicker. So now you have to get used to him on Drak, and then when you finally get used to him on Drak, they bring him back in a Mauer Toten in Cold War after all these years, and you're like, okay, same old story. No. They made him strong again, and they made it now where if he wants to chase you, you can't even run away from him anymore. He will just jump into the sky and just follow you and land on your head. That's how determined the Panzer is to kill you as a player. The Panzer Sovat must be having a midlife crisis and be watching like motivational videos every single day while trying to end up going to the gym and get buff. This guy is basically the equivalent of robot zombie Brock Lesnar, because every single time I face him, he just gets bigger, badder, and more meaner. This is a intimidating ass boss, and my god, if you play Cold War and play on Mauer as your first experience for him, you must be in for a world of hurt, because I'm at least somewhat used to him. I can't imagine if he was on Mauer your first time meeting him, because he is nuts on that map. Hellhounds from World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, and finally Black Ops Cold War. This boss enemy has been in every single one of the Treyarch Zombies games in some form or fashion. Now yes, they change it up a bit sometimes and make it a completely different enemy, but allow you to basically do the same thing, which is just get a simple boss every few rounds for a max ammo reward. It's pretty straightforward and to the point. Now, I'm going to lump in the very similar Hellhound-like bosses all right here. So alongside the classics, I'm going to include Elemental Hellhounds and the Plague Hounds from Cold War. That is going to be similar enough that I feel like they are deserving in this spot, whereas the other max ammo equivalent guys, those are all going to be in different parts of the list because they also have just flat-out different abilities. And finally, the best boss in Call of Duty Zombies is the Margwa from Shadows of Evil and Revelations. This also includes the elemental ones in case you're wondering. The Margwa is the best boss hands down because the Margwa, get this, gives you so many good rewards for you killing him. He will, in Shadows of Evil, give you a part for the Apothecon Servant, and he will also end up giving you a max ammo. If you end up shooting his heads, it's 500 points for every single head you shoot, meaning since he has 3 heads, you get 1,500 points for just killing the Margwa in general. He's no BS, pretty straightforward. All I gotta do is just time shooting at his mouth while it's exposed. He's slow but gets faster the more you shoot his head, so you just know how to space it out and be able to give him the distance you need, so that way you can be able to be safe and he can end up being able to attack you. You also have it where, in Revelation, since he has the elemental abilities, it keeps him fresh and feels like he's still a new boss without making him annoying. Very similar to the Panzer. They gave him a buff, a much-needed buff, but it didn't break the character. It wasn't like with the monkeys where it was so drastic, and also in a reverse way where he became more annoying. The Margwa is the best boss, hands down. It is the best boss in Call of Duty Zombies history because it's worth fighting him, it's fun to fight him, and he also doesn't spawn in every single damn round like some other bosses we have discussed throughout this list do. The Margwa is absolutely the best, and I hope that they bring him back one day, so that way we can be able to experience a boss like him again. I just hope that they just don't use him as a crutch like how they have for all the Outbreak modes lately, where pretty much we see the Abomination, the Mangler, and then also the Mimic 24/7. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it here for today's video, and I do truly hope you guys ended up enjoying it. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. Let me know how you would rank all the zombie bosses here in the comment section down below. And if you guys have enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe once again if I have not said already. But yeah, guys, I hope you end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTubers we're ever going to see. Thanks for watching, guys. I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords. Jesus here. And you better have enjoyed that video there by the Eternal God Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!